Did you see Adam Thielen's compliments on Minnesota Vikings rookie quarterback, J.J. McCarthy? I have to read this quote, and you have to hear this quote, and I'm going to react to this because if you don't know, J.J. McCarthy threw passes to Adam Thielen, allegedly in Minnesota somewhere, on a field with no defense, no cornerbacks, no offensive line, no pass rush. So you got to hear these quotes. It's unbelievable. But this take is presented by Hoagland Farm. Contact Hoagland Farms at 952-491-1541 and get the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. This beef is sold in quarters and halves, and they have custom sample packs so you can try before you buy in bulk. This beef is way better than grocery store beef. One, it's grass-fed, so it's great quality. It doesn't have any of this preservative bull crap in it that some of these grocery stores do. Plus, it's way cheaper than grocery stores. Go directly to the source and contact Hoagland Farm at 952-491-1541 and get 20% off your first order by mentioning the Minnesota Tim podcast. You saw the picture up on the screen. That is Hoagland Farm steak. Oh, it's juicy, it's delicious, and it's healthy. Contact Hoagland Farm and get 20% off your first order by mentioning the Minnesota Tim podcast. Okay, so let me just read this quote. Adam Thielen joined the most popular radio show, sports show, in Minnesota recently, K-Fan, and he noted how Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy has all the tools. But let me just read this entire quote, courtesy of the Purple Persuasion, who I highly recommend you check out on Twitter because he has the latest quotes and notes and news from all over the place on people discussing things about the Minnesota Vikings. So here's what he had to say. Adam Thielen, courtesy of the Purple Persuasion, NK fan. It says, quote, I'm sure we'll get a few more sessions in before heading back to training camp. I mean, he's got all the tools, that's for sure. I mean, he can swing it. He can swing it. That's why I got interrupted. It says he can swing it. He's super accurate. You know, we're in shorts and t-shirts out there. But yeah, you can see a lot just from accuracy, timing, and those kinds of things when you're running around out there. He's got a maturity about him that you can tell that goes beyond his age. It sounds like Bill Walton. Let me reread this. He's got a maturity about him that you can tell that goes beyond his age. And, you know, that's step number one as a QB, right? To have that maturity level, to have that kind of poise or kind of that aura around you, you know, just like it just feels like confidence and just a good person. Now, there's one thing I absolutely agree with, end quote. Now, there's one thing that I absolutely agree with from Adam Thielen's take on J.J. McCarthy, and that's his maturity. That has stood out since day one. Since he was going through the pre-draft process, since he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, even when he was at college, you could tell that J.J. McCarthy is just a mature guy with a good head on his shoulders. The way he speaks, you can tell that this guy is all football all the time, which, hey, good for him. But the part that just gets me every single time is these guys, and Adam Thielen admitted it, we're out there in shorts and t-shirts. Like I said earlier, there's no defense. There's no pass rushers. There's no technique. You're literally throwing the ball to a wide open wide receiver going down the field. And what we saw on video is a few highlights of J.J. McCarthy dropping back to pass, rolling out to his left, throwing the ball to Adam Thielen. We didn't see any completions. Of course, they're not going to post an incompletion. Do you think there's at least one incompletion in there? I bet so. I bet there is at least one incompletion, whether it was an underthrow, an overthrow. Maybe it was a drop by Adam Thielen. Of course, they're not going to post that. This is their own highlight tape. This is their own mixtape that they're sending out to the world to hear. Now, I'm not saying that J.J. McCarthy is not an accurate quarterback, but go ahead and take the worst quarterback drafted in any NFL draft and throw him on a football field with Adam Thielen, and it will look like that guy has all the tools. Okay, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is going to be a bust. I actually don't believe that. I believe with J.J. McCarthy's maturity, with his smarts, with his big arm that everyone's been reporting about, I believe that at worst, J.J. McCarthy will be an average quarterback. Now, I don't know if he's going to live up to the hype of being a top 10 guy in the NFL after being selected 10th in the NFL draft. I don't know if he has the tools to be a top 5 quarterback, a guy that can completely change a franchise, which is why I was hesitant to draft him in the first place. But I do believe that with his accuracy that everyone talks about, with his arm strength that everyone's been talking about, and specifically his maturity, his mind, his attitude, his work ethic, I think it's impossible for J.J. McCarthy to be a terrible quarterback in the NFL. And I think about terrible quarterbacks in the NFL that have made it. You think about like a Jamarcus Russell. You think about I don't know, the first thought that comes to my mind, Christian Ponder, or a Blaine Gabbert, or a Jake Locker. I think it's impossible for J.J. McCarthy to be one of those guys. But I don't think he can be a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. At best, hopefully he could be a Trevor Lawrence. But I just think he's somewhere middle of the road. He's probably like a 15th to 20th overall quarterback in the NFL at some point, which is why I didn't want him. I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But this quote from Adam Thielen, he has all the tools. How can you tell? This is a serious question. How can you tell if someone has all the tools when they are not being put to the test? How can you tell that J.J. McCarthy has the accuracy, has the strength, has the maturity? Well, he has that. That's obvious. But how do you know that he has all the tools in the bag at the quarterback position when he's throwing to a wide receiver without a defense present, without an offensive play call, without protection schemes, without a defense trying to get after him, without cornerback specifically playing a certain way and trying to expose his weaknesses? It's one of the funniest things I think I've ever read in my entire life because it's so asinine. Now, I always ask myself this question to defend Adam Thielen a little bit. The question that I always ask myself when I see a press conference or a player talking is, what else is he supposed to say? K-Fan asked Adam Thielen how J.J. McCarthy looks, and he says he has all the tools. What else is he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say, J.J. McCarthy, good luck, Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy, woo-wee, bad incompletion here. There's no defense, and he couldn't find an open wide. He couldn't hit me in stride once. No, he's not going to say that, even if it was true. Of course, it's not going to be true because there's no defense. But what he's going to say, and I don't know if he had to go all out like this. I don't know if he had to say he has all the tools. He's got the maturity. He's got the strength. He's got the accuracy. But he could say he looked good. He found me. He had good arm strength. He doesn't have to say he has all the tools. How can you tell a guy has all the tools when there's no defense present? I just don't see how that happens. It's impossible. Anyways, Adam Thielen loves himself some J.J. McCarthy. Maybe Adam Thielen is trying to end up back in Minnesota. Huh? Is Adam Thielen setting up his return as wide receiver 3 to the Minnesota Vikings? It could happen. Adam Thielen.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
It could happen, Adam Thielen. Anyways, everyone, thank you for watching this episode. And remember to contact Hokeland Farm at 952-491-1541 and get 20% off your first order by mentioning the Minnesota Tim podcast. Everyone, thank you for making this episode and this podcast a part of your day.